Finals. What do you think when you hear that sentence?
Man, it sounds damn good. Damn good. It's been a lot of work, man.
Chris Paul's Phoenix chapter has come to an end, and guess who broke the news? None other than his own son, hitting him up with a text. CP3 was left scratching his head, wondering what went down. With retirement off the table, Paul's on to the next chapter. Born and bred in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Chris Paul was affectionately called CP3 by his family. He was practically raised on the court by his dad and older bro. Now let's go back to his high school days. Chris was already turning heads with his mad skills, averaging a jaw-dropping 25, 5, and 4 as a junior. But it was his senior year that really set the stage on fire. In a game that would go down in history, he dropped a mind-blowing 61 points. And get this, he did it to honor his late grandpa. Keeping his goal under wraps, Chris lit up the court, racking up 24 points in just the second quarter. Then, with the game on the line, he calmly stepped up to the free throw line and intentionally airballed the second shot. Why? Because he knew deep down this moment would be etched in his memory forever. And from there, guys, Chris Paul's star only soared higher. A fresh-faced freshman at Wake Forest, tearing up the court and making history. He swooped in, nabbed the ACC Rookie of the Year title, and landed a spot on the consensus All-American team. Chris led Wake Forest to their first ever #1 ranking. Now, fast forward to the big leagues. With just a single year of college ball under his belt, CP3 strutted onto the NBA stage as he owned it. Flashback to 2004. The New Orleans Hornets snagged CP3 straight out of Wake Forest University in the NBA draft. With his insane knack for dishing, shooting, and handling the ball, he blew everyone away. By the end of his first season, he wasn't just the Rookie of the Year, he was dominating every stat sheet in sight. Fast forward to his sophomore year, and Chris was on fire, upping his game in every major category. By year 3, he was already one of the league's top dogs, bagging his first assist title and leading the Hornets to the playoffs. But wait, playoff CP3? That's a whole other beast. In his playoff debut, he dropped a jaw-dropping 35 points, sending shockwaves through the league. And if that wasn't enough, he went on to break records left and right, including dishing out a mind-blowing 17 assists in a single game. With Chris leading the charge, the Hornets became a tough guy on the court, making playoff appearances for the next 3 seasons. CP3, feeling like a fish out of water in the small market of New Orleans, decides it's time for a change. With his sights set on greener pastures, Chris had his eyes locked on none other than the Los Angeles Lakers. Can you imagine? The league's best shooting guard teamed up with the league's best point guard. It was a legendary match. But here's where things take a turn. Just when it seemed like Chris was destined for Lakers glory, the league's commissioner, David Stern, jumped in and hit the brakes. He straight up vetoed the trade, leaving Chris and Lakers fans everywhere scratching their heads in disbelief. So, after David Stern slammed the brakes on Chris's Lakers dreams, he found himself on a whole new path. The Los Angeles Clippers. Teaming up with the likes of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, CP3 turned the Clippers into a highlight reel sensation, earning the nickname Lob City for their jaw-dropping alley-oops. But it wasn't just showtime on the court. Chris was dishing out assists, leading the league in assisted field goal percentage for a whopping 4 years straight. And let's not forget about his lockdown defense, leading the league in steals for the same period. But here's the thing. Despite their regular season dominance, the Clippers just couldn't seem to make it past the second round of the playoffs. Season after season, they dazzle fans with their skills, only to fizzle out when it counted most. So, after 7 years of playoff heartbreak, the Clippers faced a tough call. At 32 years old, Chris needed a change. After bidding farewell to Lob City, Chris found himself in the Lone Star State, joining forces with none other than James Harden and the Houston Rockets. Like a dream team, right? With Chris's masterful pick-and-roll skills and Clint Capella's rim-running prowess, the Rockets were cooking up something special. And guess what? Chris's defensive ability even rubbed off on Harden, improving the Beard's notorious defense. But wait, there's more. After 13 long years in the league, Chris finally tasted Western Conference Finals glory, only to be sidelined by a pesky hamstring injury in the crucial games. And just when it seemed like Chris was settling into Houston, trouble came knocking. From scuffles with Rajon Rondo to nagging hamstring injuries, it seemed like the basketball gods were testing Chris's resolve. And to top it all off, the Rockets fell short of the playoffs once again, leaving Chris wondering if he'd ever make it to the NBA Finals. Fast forward to his 14th year in the league, and the whispers started. Had CP3 lost his touch? Traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder when his stock was at an all-time low, CP3 found himself in unfamiliar territory, a rebuilding team in need of direction. But did he back down? Heck no. Chris took the Thunder's mishmash roster and transformed them into something else. Leading both on and off the court, he became the guiding light for young talents like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, imparting wisdom and instilling confidence. Against all odds, CP3 steered the Thunder to an 8th seed in the ultra-competitive Western Conference, proving to the world that he was still the one and only point guard. Now, Chris Paul found himself a new home with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, hungry for success after an undefeated bubble run, were just a point guard away from greatness. With his leadership honed in OKC, CP3 brought his A-game to the desert, leading the Suns back to the playoffs after a decade-long drought. But here's where it gets exciting. In his 15th season, on his 5th team, Chris Paul defied the odds and made it to the NBA Finals. And let us tell you, he didn't take the easy road. While the finals didn't end in victory, Chris's legacy as one of the greatest point guards of all time remains untarnished. From his prime years with the Hornets to his sustained success across 3 decades, CP3's leadership, playmaking ability, and unyielding heart have solidified his status as the one and only point guard. Well, now let's get into it. Has Chris decided to retire? Just when Chris Paul thinks he's settling into life in Phoenix, he gets hit with a bombshell. His career with the Suns ends with a text from his own son. Yeah, you heard that right. The 12-time All-Star found out he was traded to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Bradley Beal, and the news came straight from his teenage son. Can you imagine that? Later, Chris Paul dropped the news, suggesting that former Detroit Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas might have had a hand in this trade from the Suns. Apparently, Thomas has some close ties to Suns owner Matt Ishbia, and it seems they were keen on shaking things up. CP3, who played a pivotal role in leading the Suns to the NBA Finals just the season before, seemed taken aback by the move. Chris revealed that Matt and Isaiah might have just wanted to go in a different direction. But hey, ever the professional, Paul took it all in stride, acknowledging that in the cutthroat world of basketball, nobody owes you a thing. Seriously, it is part of the business, he remarked. And what you realize is that no one owes you anything. No matter how you are with them or what you do, you realize that in this business, nobody owes you anything, as it should be. Well, Chris Paul dropped the news that he's not ready to hang up his sneakers yet, but he's still figuring out what the next chapter holds. The trade to the Wizards caught him off guard, and he's still wrapping his head around it all. Chris admitted that he didn't have any time to process it yet, and that these things happen to affect more than just him. And he's not wrong. A move like this has ripple effects on his family, his teammates, and his fans. So, while CP3 may not have all the answers just yet, one thing's for sure, the basketball world eagerly awaits his next move. Yep, that's the end. From leading teams to the playoffs to facing unexpected trades and challenges, CP3 has proven his worth time and time again. Now, what do you guys think? Will he be retiring soon? You know what to do. Do drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Meanwhile, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing for more awesome content.